If you could bring strategy to poor kids, they wouldn't need money. All right, that's an exaggeration, of course. Everybody needs money. But I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. The thing that gets you out of your bad situation is strategy. That's it. If you have a good strategy, your odds of success are really, really high. If you have a bad strategy, your odds of success are zero. All right? And I continually see people with good strategies, Ed Latimore being a perfect example, who succeed. And then you see people with bad strategies and they fail. Suppose you had this app that could show your talent stack, and you could see that you added a talent and that you're adding other ones and that they're compatible. And every time you add a talent, it changes your presumed lifetime income. Right there, you can see, oh, I just took a course on public speaking. Look what it did to my future income. It just went up 20%. Now imagine you had that for every kid, and they could just add skills to it and watch their lifetime income go up. What that would do is it would make everybody who wasn't adding talents to their talent stack know exactly why they were failing. Do you all know Ed Latimore on Twitter? I've recommended him a number of times. So Ed Latimore is one of the most useful and important voices on Twitter at this point, because he's full of useful and practical strategies. Now, Ed is African American, and he's got sort of a niche that he fills there, talking to people in certain circumstances, usually people who don't have natural advantages. Maybe they were born poor, maybe they were born in the hood. You don't have to be black or white, but his advice is sort of about how to pick yourself up and form a strategy and go succeed. And I had this following idea. I'm just going to put this out here. I believe that any poor kid who understood the concept of a talent stack would succeed. I know that's a big claim, right? But it seems to me that if you could have for each kid, let's say from the time they enter school, you could have some kind of a permanent listing that's at least available for the kid and their parents of what skills they've already developed. And then the app might suggest extra skills that could be piled on top of it. Because I think you would see that, when you check your app to see what your talent stack is doing for yourself or for your kid, you'd say, oh, I've got 3 things that work well together, and I've got a 4th thing that doesn't work with these other 3 things, so that's discounted. Because a talent stack isn't about number of talents, it's about the number of talents that work well together, right? So if you had the ability to be a public speaker to almost any other skill, you become a good candidate to be the boss, because you can speak in public and maybe other people can't. So the idea would be to form an app that any poor kid could have for free. It's on the internet, you can access it, it's on your phone if you have access to a phone. And you could just say, oh, I have developed 3 skills. My lifetime earnings is approximately this number. And then somebody else would get on and say, oh, I've developed 5 skills. My lifetime predicted income is some higher number. Here's why this is important. I've said this before, but it's one of the most important facts about how humans work that you'll ever hear in your life. And that is, the things which you can measure are the things you manage, even if you don't want to. It's just one of those hard and fast rules that you can't avoid. If you can measure it, you're more likely to work on tweaking it. If you can't measure it, you're not going to work on fixing it, because you don't even know if the things you're doing are making any difference, because you can't measure it. If you say to a young kid, are you doing the right things to succeed? Can you measure it? Well, you can measure their grades in school, but I fear that that really disadvantages somebody from, a poor neighborhood where they have a bad situation for school, not just socially, but the school itself. So that's kind of limiting. If the only thing you can measure about a kid's potential is their grades in school, that's pretty demoralizing because not everybody gets good grades in school. But suppose you had this app that could show your talent stack, and you could see that you added a talent and that you're adding other ones and that they're compatible. And every time you add a talent, it changes your presumed lifetime income. Right there, you can see, I just took a course on public speaking. Look what it did to my future income. It just went up 20%. Now imagine you had that for every kid, and they could just add skills to it and watch their lifetime income go up. What that would do is it would make everybody who wasn't adding talents to their talent stack know exactly why they were failing. Think about it. Right now, not everybody, but people like to blame their circumstance. People like to say, look, I'm in this bad neighborhood, and I got bad parents, and I got a bad leg, and I'm ugly, and I'm short, whatever damn thing you're worrying about. People love to obsess about all the things that are holding them back. But imagine you have the app, and your best friend has, 5 skills, and you can see your best friend's earnings potential, and you could have those 5 skills too, because your friend just took the classes, learned from somebody who knew it. Nothing out of the ordinary. They just did it, and you didn't. And you could look at your app and say, oh, man, my friend's got 5 skills. I've got 3. His lifetime earning is, $200,000 a year. Mine is $60,000 a year. And all I have to do is add a couple more talents. And I can have at least statistically the same chance. I think that would completely reorient how people are feeling. Now, I like to say that racism exists. It matters. But here's why Ed Latimore is so important to the world. Because Ed is dealing on a rational, sort of strategic level. And I believe he's offering some courses and stuff. So check out, it's at Ed Latimore, Latimore. So check him out on Twitter and see what he's up to. Because if he gets, I like to boost his signal because it just looks so important. The way he approaches it is just amazingly effective. And because he's African American, he's got some credibility. And, I always talk about pacing and leading. People will accept your ideas if they think you're like them. And in the short run, you can be like them by talking like them, having the same body language, breathing like them, acting like them. That's called pacing. I can't pace a poor black kid. I mean, I could try, but that's a lot to ask, right? Because the poor black kid's going to look at me and say, well, what do I have in common with this old white cartoonist guy? And the answer is not much. And so I will have all this wonderful advice that can't get into that bubble. I can't penetrate anybody else's bubble because I can't pace them enough. I'm not enough like them that they can even hear the message. But Ed Latimore is. Ed Latimore is enough like really anybody who's had a similar upbringing. Came from tough circumstances, crackheads everywhere, and put together a talent stack that allowed him to live the life that he's leading now, which apparently is pretty good. So I like to boost his signal because the potential of that is unlimited, really. If you could bring strategy to poor kids, they wouldn't need money. All right, that's an exaggeration, of course. Everybody needs money. But I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. The thing that gets you out of your bad situation is strategy. That's it. If you have a good strategy, your odds of success are really, really high. If you have a bad strategy, your odds of success are 0. All right? And I continually see people with good strategies, Ed Latimer being a perfect example, who succeed. And then you see people with bad strategies and they fail. So get some strategy into those struggling places, be they black or be they white or any other color. If you're poor, get a strategy. Now, that's why I wrote my book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, because it was putting it in one place in a friendly form. That's the hard part, making it friendly. So I put it in one book, and you can tell, if you look at the reviews for that, you can see it's changing people's lives all over the place.